My name is Alys Morgan. I'm a teacher and a librarian, and this is the college library where I worked in beautiful North Wales. It's an extremely unusual form of coronavirus, which wasn't actually diagnosed until I was in hospital. And I then spent 3 weeks in hospital. I was actually one of the longest serving patients. I was on ward 9. It was my life for 3 weeks, really, the life of the ward. When I began to recover, I was visited by occupational health, and occupational health were a bit concerned that there was very little for us to do. There weren't any books to read on the ward, there was nothing we could actually do, and occupational health said, well, why don't you write down your thoughts about what's happening to you, which indeed I did. I wrote them down on Google Docs, and I kept a little bit of a daily diary about the life of the ward. And then when I went out, I wrote these notes up for a counsellor from Conwy Mind. And in fact, the proceeds from the book are actually going to Conwy Mind for the help that they gave me. There's a patient called Edith, and you'll meet some of the nurses and the healthcare assistants, and they're called Yasmin, Natalie, Maria, Fatima and Rosa. And you'll also meet Quasi, who served the meals at the weekend. Saturday, May the 2nd. I was woken up in the night several times by Edith trying to get up and her alarm going off. The nurses would always come straight away. Rosa and Susan were on today, and I heard them whispering. They always try and get up at the end. Then they saw me listening and they stopped. Yesterday, Edith's husband, son and daughter phoned several times and the nurses put it on speaker, but she was incapable of having a conversation and I could hear her daughter crying. Today, Susan bought in an iPad. It's for a Zoom meeting, she explained to me. It's so Edith's family can see her and say. And then she stopped. During the daytime, either Rosa or Susan sat with Edith. She managed to wake up enough to look at the iPad, but I'm not sure that she understood what it was. But then, when her family came on, the most beautiful smile came over her face and she chatted away to them. Quasim looked at her when he came in with the food. Quasim has tried to sit with her and feed her patiently spoon by spoon when the healthcare assistants were busy with others. Today he shook his head and he whispered something to Susan, and shortly afterwards she brought in a drip for Edith. Sunday, May the 3rd. There was a full turnout of staff today, even though it's a Sunday. Yasmin, Natalie, Maria and Fatima. Usually they are bustling around all the time and they never sit down. I remembered what Susan had said when Boris Johnson made his speech about the 2 nurses who sat at his bedside. Luxury to have a nurse at your bedside 24 hours. We've got 120 to look after on this ward. But today the 4 of them were around most of the time. They took it in turns to sit next to Edith, holding her hand. She was mumbling, but a few words were coherent. There are no professional visitors on a Sunday, so Fatima took me to the bathroom and then helped me with my walking exercises. Using my stick, I got as far as the window. It was a beautiful day, and Quasim had opened the window to let the fresh air in. Leaning on Fatima, I looked out. Below, in the hospital grounds, a small group of people were standing under our windows and they were looking up. That's Edith's family, said Fatima bluntly. They stood there all day. I don't know what they did for food and drink. Edith was rambling now. She seemed to be talking to her mum and dad and other long-gone people. I remember when I choked, hearing mum's and dad's voices calling to me. It's as though we're all children again here. And then sometime in the afternoon, all her machines stopped making a noise. There was total silence on the ward. We all looked. It was Fatima who was sitting there, holding her hand and staring at her. Yasmin went over and whispered something. She drew the curtains. Natalie was writing something on a large piece of paper. She took it over to the window. She looked down, she held it up, and she stood there for some minutes. She raised her hand in salute. When she turned round, I had a glimpse of what it said. She's at peace now. We are all so sorry here. So that's Ward 9, coronavirus, my experience of 3 weeks on a coronavirus ward. Every single thing that happens in this book actually happened in real life. This book is a love letter to NHS Wales and support and essential services. Thank you very much for listening. Keep well and stay safe.